Hey everybody. Damn. Hey everybody. So welcome back. This is the third part on my techniques video of what I'm doing on Boyce Avenue's cover of Sia's The Greatest. The first video I discussed the cajon, the second video was the acoustic guitar, and now this will be the vocals. This will be the final one because those are the only instruments in it. But I will continue doing more videos on other things, especially diving a bit more into some of the Pro Tools techniques and other little things like that. On 95% of the videos, cover songs that Boyce Avenue has on YouTube, we use the Audio-Technica 4060. Super great microphone. It's a tube mic and it is extremely affordable, especially on the used market. I'm using a metal pop filter, which I do like better than the fabric varieties. A little easier to clean, stays, generally just tends to stay together a bit longer. See, we have a little headphone box down here, simple enough. A little cup holder to put your beverage in. And that's really about it. The other biggest thing about recording vocals is I like to get them nice and dead. I want to be able to add the reverb on later. I don't want to have to fight any sort of room ambience in my vocal track when I first start mixing. So in order to accomplish that, I put up these baffles. I built these. I have another video detailing what I did to build these, but I did them very affordably. And I made like a little cave with them. This is you can't really tell in the video, but it's a black fabric, obviously, but it's furry, it's very textured, and it does a really great job of capturing and absorbing a lot of the high and mid-range of an instrument or frequencies in general. And I think without the furriness of these, it wouldn't do nearly as good of a job that it does. I want to make sure that that's going to provide a nice enclosed sound where I'm not going to be hearing a lot of the room noise. And if your vocalist is up on the microphone, that eliminates a lot of outside noise as well. Now in this case, I have the vocalists sit in the booth singing outward, and it would probably sound just as fine if they sang into it. But I don't want my vocalist staring at this furry wall. I would rather be able to see them, communicate with them through the window. One other reason why I like to be able to see the vocalist is because I can also see what their technique is and what they may or may not be doing. There may be a problem in the mix. The biggest thing, and I don't want to get into a lot of microphone technique stuff, but a couple of the bigger things, two of the biggest things for me is if they're reading a lyric sheet, sometimes they'll have a tendency to look down at it because they'll be holding it like this, or maybe it's on a music stand. A lot of times if somebody's got a lyric sheet and they need to look at it, I try to have them hold it in front of them so that way they're not moving down. If they move down, you can automatically hear the offset, off access from the microphone, and it changes their tone a little bit, and it makes it a little tricky to start working with that in the mix. If you got it, especially if it's a great take and you need to use that one, and you're like, well, a lot of people may not notice it. You will, and you'll hate it. I think that really about covers it out here. Let's go ahead and we'll go into the studio and we'll take a look at what's going on in the mix. All right, so we're back in the studio and we're looking at the Pro Tools session. So let's take a look at what's going on. There's a little bit of lag happening because of the new screen resolution that I'm running and recording at the same time. So hopefully that's not going to be too bad of an issue. So here's our vocal track. This is Alejandro's. The thing you'll notice is that it's pretty much one continuous file. I like to consolidate some of my tracks after I've done some editing on them. So in this case, most cases I'll do that with percussion things and vocals. A lot of times I won't do that with guitar tracks. As you can see, like the acoustic track, I've kept the edits in there. And usually that stems from the fact that I will go in and tweak edits a lot of times on guitar tracks during the mix. So I usually keep those. Those don't bother me, but the other edits, like vocals or drums and things like that, I will usually consolidate those tracks because I don't want to see the edits. So I've done that here, which is why you see one continuous vocal file. So let's take a look at what we got going on. I'm just going to play this real quick.
Running out of breath, but I got stamina. Running.
All right, so that's our vocal track. I'm going to remove or bypass all the effects and all of the plugins, and then let's just take a listen to it like that.
Running out of breath, but I got stamina. Running now I close my eyes. Well,
All right, so we heard it solo there. I'm gonna engage all the plugins again, and
running out of breath, but I got stamina.
okay, now just for reference, let's take off effects, keep the plugins in.
Running out of breath, but I got stamina. Running now I close my eyes.
Now, when I record, going from the microphone into a preamp, in this case 1073 dPAs. This may have been done with the Wonders, and then I'm almost always going to be using the 1176 that we have, and I'm usually compressing kind of heavy on that. So there's not a need for me to do a lot of compression in the mix. I will do a little bit, but just little pieces here and there, which I'll show you. But a lot of the main compression gets done with the 1176 before it even goes into Pro Tools. I know it was a while ago when I did this, so I've changed a few things in my setup since then. Mainly, I've been trying this Air EQ by Slate. I've been using about a dB and a half of that on vocals now, instead of some of the frequencies that the other EQs that I've been using for high end. It's a pretty cool plugin. Slate's really been making some great stuff, and it's been really solid being able to use those plugins. So if you can see here, the very first plugin I'm using is this channel plugin and this Neve EQ. I'm adding just a little bit of high end, half dB of high end from this Neve EQ, and that's it for that one. And let's bypass stuff. So that one's not doing a whole lot. I'm not gonna play back that with bypass and unbypass. It's only half dB. And the other one, this is that SSL channel strip native plugin by the Duende series. This I'm rolling off some low end at 97 hertz. That really gets rid of some of the low end plosives, like the pops from the P's and things like that. And it helps kind of just clean up stuff near the bottom. There's not a lot of frequency that the vocalist is singing down there, so it's not going to hurt rolling that stuff off. I am boosting just a little bit at 113 hertz with a bell-shaped curve. Looks like a dB and dB 1.3 dBs. Another 1.3 dBs at 204 hertz. And just another smidge of high end at 10 kilohertz, 0.7. So let's go ahead and I'll play these back and unbiased, bypassed, and bypassed.
Running out of breath, but I got stamina. Running out of breath, but I got stamina. Running out of breath, but running out of breath, but I got stamina.
Okay, let's move on. Next, I've got this Waves R compressor in there. Let's see what that's doing. Just a ratio of 2.39, pretty fast attack at 2, and a medium little release at 121.
Running out of breath, but I got stamina. Running now I close my eyes. Well, I got stamina.
Okay, so I'm just barely hitting it. I'm gonna go to maybe a louder spot just to
Don't give up, no.
So the most, and that was probably one of the loudest portions in the song, some louder stuff right here, but this plugin And I'll be honest, I'm not sure currently if my current setup is using either one of these compressors. Like I mentioned in other videos, I do change quite often the plugins that I'm using, and it tends to be song to song. If something's not working for me sound-wise on a particular song, then I will either bypass or just change some plugins that I may have normally used in the past on vocals, just to kind of make things work a little bit better and fit more into the pocket. So, I can pull up a lot of times the same settings and the same plugins from song to song, and it's maybe 80% of the way there, but then I'm going to have to make some adjustments to the frequencies and things like that. So it's not always just copy and paste everything from a song to song. You really got to go in and make the adjustments per song, and that may require changing plugins entirely. So on this one, which is this Waves Pueg Child 660, let's just kind of see where that's going.
The greatest, the greatest, the greatest alive. The greatest alive.
So you can see there, not doing a lot with this guy either, between 1 and 2 dBs. I've got the time constant set to 1, which is a pretty fast release. So we're just kind of tweaking, the compression there. The next plugin is this track plug by Wave Arts. You've seen this on other videos. It's a great plugin. It does some really cool notch EQing, which is all I'm doing here. I'm doing minus 10.1 dBs, really narrow at 482 hertz. Let's go ahead and we'll bypass this guy.
Oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina. Oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina. Oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina. Oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina.
Now I've got a couple of C1 compressor side chains by Waves on here. In the past, you've seen these as well. I use these quite a bit on pretty much everything. What I like about these is kind of a dynamic EQ. It works as a compressor and as an EQ, and it kind of works as needed. So to me, it works. I love the way they work, and that's why I use them a lot. But so anyway, as far as the vocals though, let's go ahead and see what this guy's doing. Actually just sidechain it so we can actually hear the frequency that it's tackling.
Oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina. Oh, running out, I close my eyes, well, I got.
Now, if I hit passive, it sort of like sucks it out totally. So I'm going to switch between all three of these.
Oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina. Oh, running out, I close my eyes, well, I got stamina.
And you can hear when I switch back to the audio button there, you can hear that frequency back in there.
Oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina.
Now unbiased.
Oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina. Now,
what I was talking about with these C1s a second ago was that they do work as a compressor and an EQ. So, they control that frequency. So it's also compressing. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. And if you haven't played around with these, I recommend maybe getting a demo, kind of playing around with them. I think I've shown this before, but just go, when you initially get it, just go to high frequency limiter, and it's sort of set up. And this is the side chain. So under dynamics, it'll be C1 comp SC. And then you can just go to that high frequency limiter and then make the adjustments you want to. Go to this so it goes to high band pass, and then you just adjust the frequency that you want here, and then you can use these guys to make further refinements as far as what you're actually hearing. So let me undo a bunch of times here. All right, everyone, sorry about that. I had to restart Pro Tools. So the second C1 comp sidechain compressor that I'm using is doing 2,125 kilohertz. Let's go ahead and we'll take a listen to that one.
Oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina. Oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina. Oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina.
All right, now I'm gonna do the sidechain and passive buttons.
Oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina. Oh, running out, I close my eyes, well, I got stamina.
So now this is doing a little bit of work here at 2 to 3 dBs. The thing where this really kind of makes more of a difference for me, and taking a little bit of that mid-range edge off, just to kind of, it feels like it just can fit a bit more in the pocket of the song for me. So that's why I usually end up doing this. And this can range anywhere from 1.6 up to 2.4 kilohertz, depending on, the key of the song, the range of where the singer's at, and those kind of factors that would be involved. And where this really kind of comes into play is some of those louder, higher notes that's really more into that frequency range, where it can really help take off some of that edge that might just kind of ring in the ears a bit too much. Let me take a listen to this section.
Don't give up, no, no, no.
All right, so that's a good example, and you can see I was hitting that 5 dB. So let's bypass and come back to that.
Don't give up, no, no, no.
So I'm gonna play it bypass, then unbypass it about halfway through.
Don't give up, no, no, no.
So it does take a little bit of edge. One thing you can notice on this too is that there's some breakup on there, and it's not too bad because you really don't hear it much in the mix. But those Audio-Technica mics are pretty hot. Sometimes it's just breaking up the microphone itself. Sometimes the preamp's just tweaking a little bit. But sometimes those things are hard to avoid, and by the time you do catch it, sometimes it's too late. Maybe it was a great take, and this is one of those cases where it was breaking up a little bit. Doesn't really affect the mix too much. Not a lot of people, in fact, a lot of people aren't going to be able to hear it anyway. The take was great, so we kept it, and you move on. So sometimes it's not always perfect when you're recording, and especially with very dynamic instruments such as vocals, it can be very tough to, get everything perfect with the vocal takes. Let's go to the next plugin, which is an EQ. We're using another Waves. It was just the Q10 parametric equalizer. I've got -2 at 235 hertz, and then I've got -4.2 at 500 hertz with a tighter notch on it. Both of these are notched pretty tight, but the 500 hertz is notched even more so. So we'll go through and we'll bypass this.
Oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina. Oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina.
So doing a little bit there, very little. Okay, and the last plugin that I have on here is is de-esser, and this is my favorite de-esser by, it's the Macy de-esser, and I pretty much used the default settings for it. So here I'm running around 4.9 to 5 kilohertz, and I've got this set at 7 dB reduction. And let's just see how much it's doing on the verse.
Oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina. Oh, running out, I close my eyes, well, I got stamina. And I see another mountain to climb, but I got stamina. And I need another life to be mine, cause I got stamina. Don't give up, I won't give up,
Okay, so
don't give up.
I think some of the lag that's happening may not actually see some of the reduction that's happening on some of those S's in the verse, but the you saw it a second ago at the end of that verse, and it peaked up into the 5 or 6 range. So I I'm not scared to hit too much on the de-essing if it needs it, but you obviously don't want to make it sound like somebody has like a lisp. So that's kind of, you adjust the de-essers to taste. This isn't the only de-esser you can use. There's a couple of different ones. Waves, obviously has one that's actually really great too, and really flexible. So there, some de-ess. This personally is my favorite one, but like I said, I'm not against any other ones because I think Pro Tools, does Pro Tools actually, or Avid actually make one? Yeah, they do. So I haven't really had a lot of experience with the Pro Tools one. I haven't used it in a very long time, but it's I'm sure it works just as good as any. And any de-esser is better than no de-esser. That's what I always say. So okay, so let's real quick. I want to talk about the effects. In this particular song, I'm using 2 reverbs and a delay. Let's just listen to the main reverb, which is going to be on throughout the whole song. In fact, I have the automation for the effects below it here. So I've got our first reverb, the delay, which is on all the time except for I bump it in certain spots here, notably the end of the choruses and some of the outro. And then the long reverb, which I kind of just use as a throw, which is only used in 2 spots. So let's kind of take a listen to the reverb that's on all the time.
Oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina.
So you can see it's a smaller verb, and take a look at that. And this is actually a really short reverb, 30 meters, 600 millihertz. 600 milliseconds. Yeah, I've just I've done some broad stroke adjusting here with the way the frequency sound, rolling off quite a bit of the high end, bumping a little bit of the lows. You can see the filter slope here. So this is the X-Verb SSL. I use these a lot. Pretty much exclusively is my reverb. The reverb I've been experimenting a little bit lately with is the Slate reverb, Verb Suite Classics. This actually sounds really great. This is I believe this is all modeled after like 480s, the lexicon stuff, and some of those older verbs, which were really great. The lexicon 480L was a staple in most studios throughout the 80s and 90s, and still is. And in most studios, you'll find them, and they are great. They hold up well. Very expensive units. So I've been playing with this a little bit, just trying to play around. Like this 250 vocal perfection is a great one. This is actually modeled after the EMT plate, which is another really terrific reverb. So these actually sound really good, and I've been playing around a little bit with that plugin. So if you have that one, that's a great plugin to mess around with. But for this song, I used the SSL X-Verb, which is still one of my favorites. Really small reverb. And let's just listen to the bump that I'm doing here.
Is it tonight? The greatest alive.
All right, so I'm just bumping it up a little bit from where it was. I'm going to turn the reverb off so we can just listen to just the delay.
Oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina.
All right, now you can hear I've got a quarter note delay with some feedback right here. And this is the Echo Boy by Sound Toys. And then I bump it up just like I did with the reverb on this part in the chorus. And let's just take a listen and see.
I'm free to be the greatest here tonight. The greatest alive.
I'm going to bypass that. Let's get to the long verb and let's take a look at what I'm doing on that plugin. So this is the X-Verb again by SSL. And on this one, it's a little bit different settings from the other one. As you can see, I'm using a bigger room size of 51 meters, and I'm using a 10-second decay time. You can use a smaller room, like 35 meters for this, and it sounds really great as well. And it really is kind of dependent. I change this reverb, and I change all the reverbs from song to song as far as the settings. But the long reverb, I definitely changed quite a bit and just using different rooms to see what kind of just works better within the framework of the song. So let's take a look at this. I'm only doing a couple spots. Let's take a listen.
I got stamina, oh, oh, I got stamina.
Obviously completely out of context. Let's listen to the other spot, and then let's listen to this in the mix.
No, 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 I'm free to be the...
So I'm automating the sends on all this stuff. I'm not doing any of the returns, which are where these green channels are. So let's take a look at, I'm going to put all the plugins back in, and let's just listen to these reverb throws.
Oh, I got stamina, oh, oh, I got stamina. No, 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 I'm free to be the greatest.
So as you can hear, by itself it sounds a little weird, but when you throw it into the mix, it ends up working and just kind of gives it a little trail and kind of glues some of that stuff together in an interesting way, which a lot of people wouldn't really pick up, so it's more of a subconscious kind of thing. Yeah, I think that really kind of covers it. I guess one last thing here is my volume automations. Volume automations on vocals is pretty much necessity. I don't think I've ever had a song where I've not had to do some sort of vocal automation on. Sometimes you have to do more, sometimes you have to do less, and it really just depends on the song, obviously, and the singer. In this case, you can see my vocal levels are all pretty consistent level-wise throughout this track, but I'm still doing quite a bit of volume and automation, and a lot of times that just has to do with the certain sections and things like that, where you may end up having to bump up the chorus or lower certain sections. So you can see where I'm doing quite a bit, and I'll just play a little bit here, and you can see I may have mentioned this already on the previous video, but I am doing automation on the guitars as well. But usually it's the vocal automation that does the heavy lifting with automation. So I'm going to play this. You can kind of just see what I'm doing with the automation as well. And that's going to pretty much do it. I'm just going to let this play. And all right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know if there's another video you want me to cover on something. I'm going to do some more videos on other things as well soon. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it, a thumbs down if you didn't. And talk to you soon.
Oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina. Oh, running out, I close my eyes, well, I got stamina. And I see another mountain to climb, but I got stamina. And I need another lover be mine, 'cause I got stamina. Don't give up, I won't give up. Don't give up, no, no, no. Don't give up, I won't give up. Don't give up, no, no, no. I'm free to